Hello again. My name is Nicole Lee, and this is week 6 of the OPS course assignments. This week's sermon was by, I deleted the name. I apologize, I deleted the name. However, I do have some points that I jotted down while listening to the sermon. So the first question is, how did the preacher integrate the book or passage from which he was preaching into the biblical storyline? So this particular sermon was about the urgency of cherishing Christ. And he really backed up his points with a lot of biblical evidence, which was really nice. A lot of preachers are not placing importance on that anymore. So what was really nice about his particular sermon was that he did make it very relatable to the public, but he also backed it up with evidence. So he was mainly preaching from Ephesians chapter 1, verses 1 through 7. Now he was talking about verses 1 through 6, which he really highlighted as kind of like a downer, I would say. But the three main points that he pulled out from those verses were we were dead, but God made us alive. We were captive to an alien power, but God freed us and delivered us. And we were doomed children of wrath, but God saved us through Christ's salvation. He also really just kind of placed an importance on showing how by nature, without God, people are rebellious, and we deserve the punishment that we should get by going to hell. And he says basically that we're rebellious by nature, and it's fitting for us to go to hell. And that God is not a force that should be reckoned with, was how he put it. How I took that to be was really you don't want to mess with God, that God is the ultimate creator, but also that he is the ultimate source of salvation and grace and kindness and love. Should we choose to follow him and believe in Jesus Christ and the salvation that he is and that he created? The second question was, how did the preacher articulate the message of the book or passage, and did he do so appropriately? Yes, he did. His articulation of the passages that he read from and was preaching from was articulated rather well. He did relate to his audience, I thought, in a very contemporary manner, and I really enjoyed it, his relation between what he was preaching and between kind of morality and how we act on a daily basis, and biblically how we're supposed to act and what we're supposed to believe. I really appreciated the way he approached it. It wasn't kind of like an attack. It was really like, hey, Jesus Christ is salvation, and like there's no option. You either accept it or you deny it, but there's going to be some serious consequences or incentives if you do or if you don't. He also talked about how the Lord is, is salvation, but those who do not cherish him will be doomed and they will be cursed. But those who do, according to God, God promises eternal displays of kindness in grace. So I would definitely rather be on that end of the spectrum rather than on the cursed side. Let's see here. Grace to all who cherish Jesus. Again, going back to cherishing Jesus is the main point. The sermon is called God Is. So really it places an importance on God is, God will do, God can do, God has done, he will always be. God is the ultimate. There's no beginning, no end. So really there's no limitations to what he can do, which was really an important part of the sermon, I think. Really just to show a display of what he could do to us versus what he promises. He promises grace and kindness and love, versus, he could destroy us all. It's happened in the past. And through Jesus' salvation, really the gap between man and God has been bridged by the cross and the crucifixion, and has created a bridge of salvation to all of mankind. And he really kind of stresses that point as well, to just really say, God could wipe us all out, but he chose to love us instead, and he chose to forgive us for our sins that we commit on a daily basis. he kind of illustrates verse 1 through 6 and kind of the doom that mankind faces, without salvation. But in verse 7, he kind of shows us the light, which says, in him we have redemption through his blood, the forgiveness of sins, in accordance with the riches of God's grace. So basically, he's really just, again, stressing that God's grace comes through Jesus Christ's salvation. And that's a choice, that's a promise, that's a covenant that God gave to us, although he didn't have to. So he really kind of turns the message around, just showing, hey, God chose to love you. He didn't choose to destroy you. He also gave a few references, and he says that God, he withholds no good thing from those who walk uprightly. So really, he illustrated it on a daily basis. We all face decisions whether or not to, stretch the truth or tell a little white lie here or there. But really, the main point was, if you follow salvation and if you believe in God and you believe in Jesus Christ, your bad days will be overcome with your good, and that no matter every little thing that happens that seems to turn a good day into a bad day, there's always going to be a promise of salvation and of love and of grace and of kindness. So